Hey everybody, it's Thursday.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Night Bite.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Emily. And thanks for being here with us tonight. So one of the things that Josh and I always like to joke about is changing up our intro. But we are actually almost at a full year of doing these videos with you guys. So, man, I'm thinking for our full 1 year episode, maybe that is the time. I didn't even talk to you about that. I know it's coming
Pulling
up quick.
stuff on me.
I know, because a whole year actually comes up quick as of, I think, November 1st. So it's been really a whole great year.
So just put together an intro. It's just like that.
No.
Chop.
Some of those old clips stay. But there is a whole lot of fun stuff that's going on out there. So we love being able to bring that to you guys.
Hey Anthony.
Yeah, and talk about that. So with that, I guess our fishing report this week.
It's on YouTube. No, fishing report. 54. Well, last time we checked, it was 54 degrees. Fish were being picky.
One of the things that we were talking about is, 54 degrees sounds a lot like, fall fishing, one of those magic temperatures getting down to it where people start really looking for the bite to be on. But I think because our fish were a little bit finicky, one of the things that we were kind of talking amongst each other is I think the fish were kind of reacting like it was a cold front because we had such a consistent, warm summer into the fall, that's what fish were used to. And so finally it got back down to what we thought that it should be, but it happened all so fast that I think fish just had to have a minute there.
Yeah, they just needed to get used to it. And this week has been pretty good for that. We had one warm day, but the nights have been cold enough. So we have a little bit of a cool spell, I guess you could say, the next couple days. But by the time we get on the water, it should be all leveled out.
And as far as, learning something from last weekend, we kind of noticed that live bait kind of outdid our plastics, which we hate to admit, but it happens. But the thing that really did kind of help us along the way is fishing a little bit slower. So we were using bobbers, and even then our plastics did work. So it is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Just get some minnow color baits and whip it out there.
Yeah, that's it. And like a little bit of patience went a long way.
Yeah, you definitely had to work for them, that's for sure.
One of the things that Josh had mentioned, though, is that our fishing report is on YouTube. So if you don't already check those out, we tried to share those to Facebook and get those on out there so that people can check that out. But otherwise, once a week, we will put a fishing report out there and you can go and see, we try to include the colors that we're using or the water temperature. So if you are following along in different locations, that's something that makes that a whole lot easier. That does tend to come out on Monday, unless there's like a holiday or something, then we're fishing Monday, and then it usually comes out right on Tuesday. So that's something that's there for you.
Yeah, and also check out Outdoor News, because in addition to ours, Ryan Salemi puts a video up for Outdoor News on their website. I know Matt Johnson from Minnesota also does one. There's all kinds of fishing reports from here to Pennsylvania on the Outdoor News fishing website. So go check that out. And that's a very cool tool to have, especially if you're traveling.
And then as far as tools to have, another fun one, and you said especially if you're traveling, different kind of traveling, maybe the road trip there or whatever, we took a lot of all these old videos and turned them into podcast versions. So once in a while we'll talk about things that you need to see, and then we point that out here. But usually it's something that you can listen and tune along to. So if you're in the car or, other kind of traveling, that is something that you can have us right in your pocket and go from there.
Yep.
So with this evening, we are going to talk a little bit about getting ready for ice because, quite frankly, everybody is excited and everyone is ready for it, and it is just that time of the year, right?
That's what everybody thinks, including us. We still have quite a bit to go. I mean, I'm guessing there's probably a good month left for us for the boat. Until we get out to the boat landing and there's skim ice. But Yeah, it's that time of year, and we got to get stuff ready.
But I think, the funny thing about that is, having the patience, that's almost the first step. And there is a lot of things that we are doing, at the end of this open water season that are ice related that maybe don't even feel like it. So, first of all, obviously, the scouting aspect of things, this is the time, if you have bodies of water that you think that you want to hit on ice and you can get there on a boat and use a kind of, get a mental map of where you're at, or actually make a map if you have that technology. This is the time of the year to get out and see those bodies of water before the ice settles in. And along with that, I can't remember who we were talking to. I'd love to give them credit, but they were saying, this is the time of the year to go and look for the green weeds. I know, it was just in the last few weeks. Because the thing about that is you can go and you can see where the weeds are dying off. And that is one of the things to take note, because fish, especially when that ice settles in, are going to be looking for the green weeds. So go around and go and look all those places that were too weedy to fish all summer and see what they're like. Some of them are green and some of them are like brown, slimy, yucky. Some of them aren't totally dead yet, but look at those signs of those plant life that is dying off. Eric is mentioning that you're not winterizing the boat yet. I agree with you, because there is still time to be out there. God forbid I bump into a crib still.
Yeah. Hey, Ray. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, I spend all summer searching for places to fish for ice fishing. But this is really the time of year where it pays off to pay attention, make marks on your graph, make marks in your Google, do anything you can just to give you that little bit of edge when the ice does come.
Yeah. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm taking this time and I'm looking through my tackle box, because, there's a lot of, I guess I used to just take, summer tackle box, put that to the side for next year. But it is really worth a look through and see what can carry over from season to season, because so often you might be setting things aside that actually might be perfect for targeting fish on the ice.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's really easy, right? We just take our little tungsten box and we just move the little tungstens from long rods to short rods. I mean, there's all kinds of baits, especially this time of year. You can get away with doing a lot more vertical stuff. And so you can get in your practice with the ripping wraps and the jigging wraps. I mean, that stuff works all summer, right? But this is the time of year where you can where that stuff really starts to shine, and then you can really start to get a feel for it. And you can switch it over to your short rods if you want. You can fish off the side of the boat. Bring your Vexler out. Get some practice in.
That's actually a really funny point, because especially in the situations where you are vertical jigging, man, those options are there. You can be right over the side of the boat with your ice rod. Oh, that makes me excited. If you have your kids out there, maybe the day's a little bit warmer and you can try to teach somebody how to use that Vexler. I like that idea. Toss it over the side of the boat and see what happens. As long as you're not too wavy out there, that should work pretty okay.
Yeah, I would think so. Well, I know so. I've done it.
One of the other things that I am also doing this time of the year is, taking a stock.
That's our dog scratching on the floor.
Oh, I thought somebody was knocking on our door. I'm so sorry. This is like a live feed and I just squirrels. No, I thought somebody was knocking. Yeah. And our dog is making a noise. Yeah.
Taking stock.
Look, you know what I thought? Stock? I thought it was Bill Young, because that guy always either tunes in, listens. Shout out to you, Bill. You're awesome. But I would not put it past him to just stop and knock on the door right during a show. So, oh my gosh, I wish you were all here to hear what I heard. I don't imagine picked up the microphone. Anyways, the other thing that I am also doing going into ice season here, thank you for laughing along with me. Taking that ice gear and beginning to transition it over, because that is the thing, is it gets so cold so fast when you are on the water. And so to be able to, get my boots out, they still fit as comfortable as I remember last year. To get my bibs out, still fit as comfortable as last year, hopefully, or get your jacket out, make sure that you don't you didn't bump into the heater last year and you forgot and you had like a hole in your bibs or something, because that's always a terrible thing to find out when you are going out the door to leave when there actually is ice. But also, practicing those layers. Sometimes I truly believe that the weather is worse. Can I say now or going into ice season more, before the ice, because that open water just makes things so much more moist on the water. And anytime that you have that wetness in the air, it makes things so much colder. And between that and that breeze, that is a great time to be practicing, your true winter layers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is a good time of year, even when it's not raining, to wear your rain gear. Just because, like you said, the air is pretty humid out on the water, and that humidity plus the cold, it really gets you chilly. Even me.
Yeah, even you. Yeah, that's funny to hear because Josh is never cold. He's never cold. Oh my gosh. While we are on the topic of talking about winter layers, that is a really great point for ice prep, is depending on what you have for your ice gear. So starting with the outer layer makes a huge difference. Josh and I, we love the striker gear.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things about it is it takes only one of the pieces to float. So the bibs or the jacket. There's a lot of great companies out there. There's a lot of great brands. Make sure that you know what it takes to be safe in your gear. And hopefully your outer gear is wind and waterproof, kind of like we're talking about. And hopefully it's, some of your warmest pieces. And below that, you want to make sure that you're not over layering, because that's the other thing is you can make yourself too warm.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime that happens, anytime you sweat, even a little bit at all, that is what's going to make you cold.
Yeah. And I just want to take a second to just say, if any of you guys have any ideas or tips that we can add to our list or our prepping stuff, or if you have questions, if you want to know what we do for a certain topic, just let us know in the comments, and we're reading them, because like right here, he's talking about something his dad taught him. You can always take something off. Can't put it on if you don't have it. And that is super true. You know that all too well.
Well, that's a funny thing that I'm actually going to experiment with going into this year, because I think I am the kind of person who, honestly, in the past, I think I overdressed. I put out a video, in the middle of ice season last year sometime about how I layer for my ice gear. And I think, honestly, I had too many layers on. What that can do, like we're saying, just the walk out, even where we were fishing and I took that video that day, it was such a short walk out. But even then, you can get a little bit too warm, and then that can change the tone for the rest of your day. But I'm also the kind of person that, Ray, I totally agree with you. Like if you don't have it, you can't use it. It can't keep the best gear if it's at your house, that does not help you. So I think the other thing I'm going to do is try, honestly, a few less layers this year, but I'm going to bring them and they're going to be in my sled. Because if I do get too chilly, I'm going to like run in the shack, run in the car, like whatever it is, throw the layers on and come back, because at least I have something that I know is tried and true, but I'm going to try something different.
There you go.
Cool. Other things, I guess, going into ice season, people start talking about putting their boat away. One of the things that you really want to make sure going into the end of the season is that you leave your boat in like really good condition. If you know that you have like a light, my light doesn't always work, or, it's get that stuff fixed if you can sooner than later. Because one of the things is time passes by so fast. And like right now it's like, next open water season is like so far away. Like I can't even think of that right now. But you don't want to, again, get to that point where you take it out next year and then it's not ready to go. And to be honest, that's one of the things that we have going for us with our snowmobile. We have some things that, going into the end of last season, we said that we were going to change or fix or tweak. And man, this summer we have tons of time. It's amazing though how much we go fishing and how much time that sucks up. And so, again, that is the other thing, is make sure that if you have different, ice vehicles and stuff, go out there, make sure that you're starting them up, make sure that they're running in the ways that you want them to be, because the one thing about fall is it's rainy and it's gross. But if you wait long after that, then you're doing everything in the snow. So, I mean, right now there's still a little bit of tail end of nice weather left, a few weekends peeking here and there. But again, that season is coming fast.
Yeah, it is. I got, I have a little bit of a plan. I mean, we have a camper that needs to be moved, and we got all kinds of stuff to move. So, just got to take an afternoon and do it. Maybe some PTO involved. Who knows?
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, I guess that's the thing. There's a lot of time right now that we have to do this. So, gosh, if we can get like one thing done a weekend, then we can still use our fishing time. Oh my gosh. But that's the thing, is because it does take time. You do want to go and you want to check your equipment. Things like your batteries, make sure that's, you put it in your auger. We have the 40-volt razor, put that battery in, make sure it's going to fire up. In the case of my razor, I'm really confident that it's gonna, but again, you don't want to get in a situation where you go and you put your battery in your Vexilar and then you get out there and you're like, oh, it's dead. That'd be ridiculous. So start checking up on those things now, because, a lot of the different equipment that we have these days is pretty reliable. Again, I'm not worried about my amped batteries for the Vexilar. I'm not worried about, the razor battery. But this is the time to be taking stock in that stuff now, because at the end of last season, there were things that people could not get their hands on and they wanted it. So coming into the season, there's people already out there that know the kinds of products that they're looking for. And some of it's going to be available early and some of it's not going to be available early, maybe into the ice season a little bit, but knowing what you want and what you're looking for is going to get you a long way as far as products this year.
Yeah. And to piggyback on that, I mean, not only should you be checking batteries in your stuff, but you should be checking stuff like your auger blades. We ran, where we run our augers most of the time, it's in the woods, woods-ish. So we don't get a whole lot of dirt blowing around onto our ice. So our blades last quite a long time. But I always go through and check them and make sure that they're good. I carry a spare set of blades in our pickup. 6-inch and an 8-inch set, because we run both sizes of augers. But those of you, south of us, down past Appleton, south of Appleton, you guys got a lot of open fields down there, and your ice can get pretty dirty pretty fast, especially towards the end of the winter. And it's really easy just to put that auger away, and then you're starting out with dull blades. So just take a look at that stuff. Just make sure everything's cleaned up. It's a good time to check your reels. I know a few of our reels will transition over from a long rod to a short rod, but some of our short rod stuff, either it needs to have line change on it, or something that we do often is we run 4-year line, right? So we'll take and we'll spool up a reel, we'll run it for 2 years. And then we'll back off, we'll open the bail and then re-spool it onto a different reel so the line's backwards. So then the new stuff underneath is now on top on a different reel. And that makes, those $70 spools of braided line a lot more easier to swallow when, it's broke up into $20 a year. Just stuff like that.
Do we have tip ups also? Actually, we have the Beaver Dam Tip Ups. I like using the round ones because then they cover up the hole, and on those really cold days, they don't freeze over quite as bad. Plus, I don't know, I just like them. So we have 2 red ones and 2 black ones. Those don't require all that much maintenance all that often, though we have done it. So that tip up line on there, first of all, once you get tip up line and you put that, that's good to go for a really long time. As long as it's not nicked or frayed up or anything like that, that's like rope on there almost. And I'm talking, we have the red and the black, whatever that's called. Whatever, is that just called tip up line, right?
Yeah. The Darkon, I think is what it's called, but
and then Dacron. Yeah. And then as far as the leaders, we actually get crafty once in a while, and we'll spend that time between ice and open water, and we'll make, different, bead attachments on it, or you never know what's going to work,
Mhm.
epoxy hooks. And so we'll take all those different leaders and put them in different storage ways, which we have not found a very great way yet, but you store them. And so we tend to, switch those out pretty much every time anyway. So those tend to be good to go. And then as far as, the tip up itself, you can grease it. And you want to make sure that the whole unit, make sure that all your screws are tight, that it is well greased. And if that is something that you need to do, then I think we have that video on our YouTube. Actually, we might have even done it on the ice. So it's kind of a fun video. Wasn't all too difficult, but it can be a little bit messy. Also, you kind of need to make sure that you have the right tools with you. So if you're at home, that is super easy. But greasing your tip ups once a year, or gosh, I don't even do it that often. But to have that ability to free spool and work the way that it needs to work, then you're good to go once you hit the ice.
Yeah, absolutely.
That does make me think of something funny. And I talk about this only once in a while. One of the things that I love to do with tip ups is use hot dogs. But the thing about that, you could put just a hot dog on there and it'll work, I'm sure, but my little trick is, you take your package of hot dogs, put it in a bag, like a resealable Ziploc or something. And then oil is a really great carrier of scent and all of that. So put a little bit of, you could use vegetable oil or olive oil or whatever you have in your kitchen. Put just like a little bit of that in the bag, just so it kind of squishes around a little. And then we use garlic. I put, you could even just use granulated garlic, fresh garlic works. But I put some of that in there, in that baggie. And then honestly, you can let that marinate for a little while. So if you even put that in your freezer, just tell your wife, like, don't eat it, don't cook it. It's for the fish. But it is hot dogs, oil, garlic. So it's nothing gross. But then it's bait, and fish love that garlic scent. And then, if you mix that up now, put it in your freezer, like, that'll infuse into the hot dogs. You'll catch fish. And so that is actually a really fun thing that you could be doing right now. And if you have kids, it's almost like a little science experiment. So throw that in there and then see how long it takes to catch a fish.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of kids, for a lot of you that watch the show, you guys know that I'm a huge tackle nut. I like building rods, like building tackle. This year, my new project was tying up some ice flies. Super easy. You can get a fly by. You can get a kit off of Amazon for $50 or less. Comes with all the thread and whatever you need. Check out YouTube. Look up grayling patterns. That's all I did, and then I just sit in the living room, and that's kind of been part of my prep. Is that I have these. That's what I tied up. Little work in progress. They're not perfect, but they'll catch fish. And
I didn't even know that you had those in here. It's like the first time that I saw those too. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, so that that it's just a little tungsten bead on there, and great for droppers. So I'm gonna try and work on my spoon game this year, I think. And so putting a dropper above a spoon that's on a leader. That works a lot of places, so I'm hoping it works around us.
We'll find out either way, because Josh is going to do it. One of the things that I'm also thinking about, so maybe I'm kind of going out of order, but I am getting excited for ice, and I'm thinking about, going out there. And is there a video going on right now about a guy who's running to check ice every 2 seconds, kind of a funny video? Yeah, go check that out. But that's actually real life me. And I'm sure that many of you as well, because it's hard to not get sucked into the excitement of ice. But this is a really great opportunity that if you are running into people at your local docks and you see them throwing ice onto the rocks, this is a great time.
Rocks onto the ice.
Oh, did I say that backwards? Whatever. If you see, because I'm so passionate about this and I'm jumping to the moment here, if you see people throwing rocks out onto that ice there, then take that minute to educate them and tell them, because that is going to chip up everybody's augers and no one's going to be happy then. That's the thing. If you take a rock, there's no size of rock that you could throw out there that's equivalent to a human walking out there. That would be way too big of a rock. And so make sure, bring your spud bar along, show people that, because that's, a really great thing to teach people along the way. And then we talked about preparing yourself with your auger blades, and then you won't need to use them right away.
Yeah. I mean, it's happened to us. We've broken a few auger blades on rocks in some of our spots. These spots are little, and sometimes they happen to be by docks, and it just sucks when you go to drill your second hole and you notice that half of your auger is gone. So it's not useful. It wrecks the ice for another thing. It wrecks augers for another thing. So just use a spud bar. Be safe. Go out there with somebody, buddy system.
Well, and that's a great point, because hopefully that person who's out there throwing rocks isn't just trusting that and then stepping out there. It's a great moment of education to tell them to not just do that, but to teach them about 4 inches or more is great for ice. Josh is showing me that there's a comment here, so I feel like I should read it. Comment from Terry: never mix your ice studs on your boots, you'll break your leg. Don't ask me how I know that. That's really funny. I won't ask you. That's actually a really interesting point. Safety gear. People talk about, having your spikes attached to you and, your float suit and all that. But your ice cleats are a huge part of that. I imagine if you have 2 different pairs and one is grippier than the other, I would forget that. But I tend to slip. I can't call myself graceful on the ice.
But that does bring up a good point, Terry, too, is that just take stock in your cleats. Just because we've worn cleats out, great cleats, and they just wear out and they'll break, and then you're scrambling in the middle of the season or at the beginning of the season when everybody else is buying, all the new fishermen are buying cleats. It's good to check on that now. And it is good to have two different styles, I feel like.
Well, and the interesting thing about what you're saying right now is, a lot of your gear, when you put it away, will stay in a pretty similar condition as to what you left it. Hopefully. But your cleats, that's one of those things that people often hang up in the garage or something because it's wet. But if that's something that's left out, especially exposed to sun, a lot of them are made with rubber so that they can stretch around the boots. That is one of the things that can change as far as condition over the summer. So that is really important to check out right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about having 2 different options. We love that because we have run into situations where, maybe one pair will clog up with snow versus another pair doesn't, but then it's too loud on just glare ice.
Yeah.
So to have that option to be able to be safe without scaring fish, I mean, that's huge. And let me know what kind of cleats that you guys like, because I love those Yak Track diamond grips, and I don't see myself changing, but I do. I'm always interested to see what other people like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also run the diamond grips by Yak Track, but I like the Catulas also. Those are my late season ones. But who knows?
So talking about ice and all of that, that's also great to pull out now, because even before we get ice, sometimes we get these rainy conditions and then it skims over with ice. Have those just walk in your car so you don't break your leg now. Because that would be the worst way to start ice season, is for it to end. But use these last few days, like we're saying, of warm weather, because the other thing that's actually pretty important to do is if you have shacks or different gear that you are keeping out in the garage. We see these horror stories online all the time, on Facebook, on all the different, anywhere people post pictures that, a mouse ate through my shack. And sometimes you're lucky and it's one hole, and then sometimes you're unlucky and it's half the shack. And it's amazing how much damage can be done so quickly. So again, we're talking about knowing what kind of gear you have or what you're looking for going into the ice season, but really make sure that what you have is actually what you think you have.
Yeah. Well, and just, hubs, flip overs, whatever.
You just have minnows in it.
Well, and check your tubs too. You know, some of our hubs have the high facts on it, but some of them don't, and they do wear down over time, and you never know what year that's going to be. So just check them out. You know, that's a good thing to do, because that's another thing. Like, well, everything this year is going to be hard to find. So the more you can prep yourself and your inventory now. Not saying that anybody should go be hoarding stuff, but just like, you know, just go make sure you have your what you need, you know, and everybody will be happy.
That's true. And then there is some gear.
Absolutely right.
There is some gear that we have that's a little bit new to us this year that we are excited to try out. So first of all, we did get an Otter Resort Lodge. What do we call that thing?
The
Monster
the Vortex,
Lodge.
Yeah, the Monster Vortex Lodge.
Just, it's giant.
112 square feet of fishing. That's like bigger than my first apartment here in Wisconsin.
But seriously though, it is like two different squares kind of together that pop apart. And the nice thing about that for us is that we have started to get into, and like maybe many of you guys, this ice camping, hot tenting, I think some people call it. That just cracks me up. I don't know why. But with a new Monster Lodge like this, we are going to be able to have kind of like a bedroom space and then kind of like a fishing space. So, you know, a lot of people are investing in different things like floors for their shack. And then I will only have to do like part or half, you know, and that saves a lot on things that you carry out and things that you have to buy and all of that. So really looking forward to that.
Yeah. Well, and just kind of some of the things we're doing to prep for that, because we're not seasoned ice campers by any means.
Trying it out.
But some of the things that we're doing to prep for that is kind of watching other people's videos and not copying anybody, but taking little bits of information to help us do our thing.
When it comes to preparation, I am copying. So that is what has helped us be successful, because, you know, that's the thing is, you know, there's some nights out on the ice that are beautiful, but there are some nights out on the ice that are like extreme. And honestly, you need to be prepared or you're not going to have fun.
Well, so what I was going for is a lot of times you see the videos, and one thing that we learned last year from our limited time on sleepovers on the ice is keeping your heater up off the ice and keeping it at a moderate temperature while you're sleeping. You know, bring layers for sleeping and then turn down your heat. That way you're not burning through a bunch of gas that you don't need to. And two, then you don't wake up to all your stuff floating around on the
slushy floor.
Yeah.
It was nothing. Honestly, I think, didn't we camp 2 nights?
Yeah.
When we were there?
And it didn't even look like we even camped there because we didn't melt the floor out.
Not hardly.
No.
That was actually a really, really great thing, because I know it's such a habit for some people to get out on the ice and just crank up that heater. And trust me, I do love that too. But when it comes to, you know, staying a weekend or longer in a single spot, that's just something that you're going to have to deal with, is that water. I was going to say that frozen water. It's not frozen, and that's the problem. Oh gosh. So really looking forward to that. We're going to need to find like some cool lights to put up, I think.
Yeah, I still haven't found a good solution to that. We have our powered up MKE boxes from our buddy Mark Torbett. He built you a special pink one.
That is actually way awesome.
But you know, there's some nice lights on those. So, you know, we kind of use those. I tried to do some like rope LEDs. It got all messy, and that was a waste of money. So well, I don't know.
They ended up cracking is what happened. Is, you know, we had seen all these videos online about people like wrapping them into the different like poppable parts of the shacks. And just we found that as we did that, we would crack different parts, and it made it unusable. And that was really, honestly, that was terrible. Yeah, but a disco ball. I was going to say, yeah, that's what they show you could do. You know, with some of those LED light strips, you could choose your color. You know, that's kind of neat. Or you can make it flash. Hey, Eric, if you're going to have a disco in there, that's up to you. But I don't know. There's other options out there, and we'll have to find one. So,
yeah, I'm thinking, you know, I had a little bit of inspiration from like a mechanic's garage. You know, everybody, if you go to a mechanic, they all have the magnetic lights.
Yeah.
and they also sell magnetic pool lights. So that's why I did, I want something that's going to be a little waterproof, just because there's a lot of moisture in that environment. You're sleeping on an ice cube. But yeah, I think I'm going to look into those. They're like, I don't know, $40 for a 4-pack. So
well, and we'll let you guys know how that goes, because we'll be using it.
Yeah, hope so.
We do have cats from last year, which they worked out really awesome. They were, just from Amazon. But I think we also found like a little cot bed for our Fin dog. She does ice camp with us. That's going to be kind of a fun upgrade for her to have this year. And again, you never know what kind of fun products are coming out between seasons, even non-ice related. So I think I've searched for dog bed like 100 times before, and then I never found it. And then my mom recently was like, hey, have you seen this dog bed? So, go back and check for those things that maybe you've checked for before, because you never know what's going to pop up. One of the other things I'm looking for a tip on, if anybody has this, is, cooking meals out on the ice. I think there's a lot of times people will like cook on their heater, or, there's a few solutions. Sometimes people just like have some jerky and some water, and that's cool if you like to live on that. But I'm I'm interested, maybe doing a little cooking on the ice. So if you guys have some recipes or some suggestions, let me know what that is, because I'm interested in that.
Yeah, me too.
yeah. Oh my gosh. As far as the ice season itself, I think we have in our closet some giveaways that we want to be give it away soon. So I won't spoil what that is yet, but some great different tools for ice anglers, kinds of things, all different kinds of things, I guess I mean. So we are going to have to come up with something fun for that.
Well, and I totally forgot about the giveaway stuff, so that's going to be awesome. The other thing is, like, over the summer, we've been kind of just working around on some rod projects for friends. We built a couple for ourselves, but we also built a few extra ice rods, and Emily got all kinds of artsy on them, and they're functional art. Honestly, they're really cool looking, and those will probably be up for auction here fairly soon.
Honestly, it's more rods than I can ever use, and they are built for fish catching. So honestly, I will probably put those for sale, but not yet, because they're not quite finished. I have some photos which are fabulous, but they don't have their final like epoxy and everything. That's part of what makes it look shiny and finished and all of that good stuff. So if you are dying for something like really unique, or something like, feminine for yourself, or for a girlfriend or a mom or a wife or whoever, feel free to reach out, and I can always show you what we have here. But otherwise, watch out for that.
Hoodies.
Ray is asking if we have hoodies, if that's in our closet of giveaways. Honestly, that's not one of the things that's in there. And we were actually, not right now. Yeah, maybe at some point. We were kind of laughing. We got to get some new hoodies ourselves.
Yeah, this is an old one. It's actually one of the samples that I got from our old company. So they made this pale yellow letters with the gold shoulders on it.
You probably cannot tell through the video because it's not translating on the screen that great. And if you're watching on a phone, then it's like this big anyways. But in person, these yellows do not match even at all. It's like really funny. But that's why we don't have this sweatshirt even available anymore. It was not a good sample. But there are other really great samples that we do have. We don't have a huge selection, but if you are looking for Crappie Junction gear, it's available on our website.
Yeah. Well, it's easier to look up on eBay. Just type in Crappie Junction on eBay. There's pink ones. There's yellow ones. There's winter caps. There's this cap. There's a visor, a pink visor.
Yeah, that's actually true.
T-shirts. We did, that's selling stuff isn't really our thing. Our thing is teaching people. But if maybe we will. Maybe we'll have a giveaway for a sweatshirt.
Yeah, that could be.
That's easy.
That is.
Yeah.
So that's actually a really great idea. So we'll think about that.
Thanks, Ray.
Yeah, good idea. But again, other things in there. So we'll have to see how that goes. We are looking forward to the ice show. So as long as that's still going, I guess we're still going. No further updates about that yet.
Well, actually, I saw today that pre-sales for the St. Paul Ice Show, the pre-sales for the tickets just went up today. Looks like a lot of people are holding off on the pre-sale tickets because they are still unsure if Minnesota's going to let that go on. But we know for sure that we'll be in South Dakota because that went on last year, for better or for worse. So I'm sure the same thing is true this year, and I'm super excited to go.
Yeah, actually I am as well. We were talking about, possibly seeing what kind of supplies are out there for different ice products and everything. So I'm really interested to see from an expo standpoint, what kind of products are around and how it looks and, what kind of new stuff there is or isn't, with a whole year between expos. I'm hoping it's like double the inventions. That's my favorite part is like the mom and pop, like fishing inventions that they made in their garage. Like we came up with this during COVID because we fished a lot more. And it's like, I love knowing about that kind of stuff because so often it's really, really unique or really useful products.
That's why she married me, because I make all kinds of crazy stuff.
That's
Most of it doesn't work. Oh, here's a recipe for you, Emily. You like soup?
Yeah, actually, that's true. Pre-cook a hearty soup for ice camping. Freeze in a gallon-sized Ziploc. Just warm it up when you're ready. Oh, that is true. It is hard to beat soup on the ice. I'm almost more of a chili person, but totally both could work.
Yeah.
Interesting. Perfect. As far as, I guess other things, I don't know what else other than that. I'm going to drag my sled out, drag my shack out, drag everything out, and then I'm going to be unfortunately way too ready. Should we put it in the truck yet, you think?
Yeah, it is almost that time. For those of you that take your caps off your trucks, this would probably be a good time to put your cap back on your truck. Just because that keeps the snow off your gear. I'm a huge proponent of the cap on the truck. Emily thinks it makes my sweet looking Toyota look like a grandpa truck, but I don't care because it's sweet. Man, yeah, we covered a lot. Like
all in a very random order. Well, I think the only things that we didn't talk about yet are some of our other crafty stuff that we do, some of your epoxy glow hooks and that. But I think that those are other fun little videos that we can get to kind of between that open water and ice season because it's really easy to get antsy during those times. Mm-hmm. But other than that, yeah, what do you guys at home think that we must? How do you prepare for ice or what do we not think about? I love the different pointers about bringing your safety gear, having that most ready because, before we can even hit the ice with our ice fishing gear, we got to make sure that there's enough ice for us to be out on it.
Well, in safety gear, that's not only some type of float suit, doesn't matter what makers. Or what models. You want your float suit. You want your spuds.
Good night, Jim.
Night, Jim.
Good luck hunting.
So your suit, your spuds, your spikes, and a throw rope. That's something I don't see a lot of on the ice. And honestly, that should stay in your sled or in your backpack the whole season. Because no matter how many times you drill a hole and it's 24 inches thick, I've put my leg through ice in the middle of January.
That was actually crazy. Yeah, the one time I fell through was mid-February.
Yeah. So so you just have to you just have to make sure you have all that, and even like a boat cushion, your throwable. Just having that with about 50 feet of rope or 25 feet of rope, that's good to have on you all season.
Well, and plus that throwable boat cushion makes a really great, seat cushion if you're sitting on your bucket. Makes a really great foot pad if you're out with kids and their feet get cold, putting padding between their feet in the ice or just for yourself. I mean, that's something that's really, really great to have. Great safety gear, but then also comfort. And, again, a lot of times it's like, well, I know where I'm going and what I'm doing, but sometimes it's not myself that I bring my safety gear for. You never know who else is out there or what kind of unfortunate situation they're in. And a lot of times, that's why they call it an accident, is because it wasn't on purpose. So, you want to make sure that if you show up that you and the others around you can, make sure they can return to the ice next time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Cool. So, lots of people checking in with really great recipes and stuff. Ray is saying don't cook burgers in the shack. I imagine it has something to do with the grease, but if it's different than that, then let me know. I don't cook burgers in the shack because then my dog tries to eat it. No, she does not. But some of these other ideas are really great. So thanks for shouting out all of those.
Mm-hmm.
And otherwise, again, we are getting up to the 1 year anniversary of doing all these shows with you guys. So if you continue to have ideas of people that you want us to talk to or things that you want us to talk about, at any point, you can feel free to let us know those things because we would love to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Your shackle smell for the rest of the year. That's funny.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Tobin. Especially with all the drill models, it's really easy just to drill every, few steps as you're checking with your spud. And you know what? It's a good idea to, if you're unsure about like how hard you're supposed to hit the ice or the proper use for a spud, go check on YouTube. There's a lot of videos that show you proper spud use, and maybe that's something we should do.
Yeah.
Because we've done a video before. We've done that.
Well, and they're not just walking sticks.
No, they're not walking sticks.
Or like when people will carry them sideways, because then if they go through, then they'll catch themselves. It's like, that's not what that's for either. You don't want to have to get wet. People don't always realize how quick you start to freeze out there. So it's like, oh, wet's not so bad, but the cold is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Cool.
Yeah.
What else?
That's all I got. We covered a lot of stuff, and I'm starting to forget what we even talked about.
Yeah. I guess as one last minute throw out, the only other thing that I'm thinking about is if you have a great suggestion for a dog winter boot. I never thought that we wanted that for Finn, and last year we tried a few different options, and we might even have one or two to try here. But I do remember that the snow was starting to get caught up because her fur is growing longer than when she was a baby pup. So if anyone is, brings their pup out onto the ice or has boots or a way of keeping that snow from kind of packing on in there, let us know that, because that is a big part of our fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Also, I guess if you guys have other questions or comments or things that you're thinking about, put that in the comments, because we can always either, reply back to you or make a video about it or talk about one of the next times that we're here.
Yeah. And if you guys have a product you want to know more about, a company you want to know more about, a person you would like to talk to, just hit us up on a private message or something, and we'll do our best to get in contact with them, get them on the show. Because I know, like, coming up here, we had a request for Widowmaker, and so we'll be putting them on here in November sometime. Amp Batteries. We'll have them on here. So there are a lot of great ice stuff coming up. But we're always open to suggestions. We sit here every week on Thursday, share our time with you. You share your time with us, and it's a good time.
And it's, always a great time. So, I guess with that, thank you for being here, and thank you for taking your time and sharing with us, because I learned a lot from it as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's always great. So,
yeah.
Cool. And I guess with that, just looking forward to next week's edition of The Night Bite.
Night, everybody.